talk and start to talk about the real estate market. So today I'm doing something a little different. I just got done going to a job site, and there's a nice cool trail here. I figured I'd stop and take a walk and kind of vent about what's going on in the world of finance and real estate. So for you guys that have been following the channel, I just really got done. We're at the closing stages. In fact, they're installing the generator today on this property, and the drywallers are putting their last skim coat of mud on. And anyways, we got a four-wheeler coming right here. Wave to them. You see it? Anyways, this really cool park that I'm at. But anyways, so the drywallers were there putting their last coat of skim on, mud, and we'll get it primed. And I think I'll throw some videos and stuff on there from being there earlier. Get some trim on it, and guys are setting tile, finishing that project up. Well, what I'm talking about today is about real estate and about how the real estate market is on the verge of collapse. And there's a lot of indicators out there showing what the collapse is coming. And there's so many people that aren't talking about it. They almost, I shouldn't say they have heads in their sand, but they are really clueless to what's happening out there. And there's a lot of issues of why, but I thought about this on my way here, and I was like, what am I going to talk about? How am I going to talk about it? And I started thinking about, for example, back when I was in the 1990, 90 to 92, I was in college, and I would work on houses. I would sand wood floors sometimes. I drywalled the house. I did all kinds of side jobs in college. And have much. That was during the Gulf War, the first Gulf War, and you don't have a real idea of what the real estate market's doing. And then I thought a little bit later about it, and I bought my first house in '97. And I remember the guy that I bought it from. He had purchased the house, done a lot of work to it, and was so excited that he kept it for 5 years. He sold the house to me for, I think it was $167,000, and he was so happy that he paid $167,000 for it, lived there 3 years, did a lot of work on it, and he got $167,000 for it. And I remember him convincing me of what a good deal that the house was when I bought it from him. So I didn't think any more of it. I turned around, kept the house for a couple years, and then sold it. Now we're talking about the late 90s, and from really the early 2000s to 2008, all I ever saw was a really good real estate market. And then the euphoria set in. People were doing, they're just buying houses. There was zero doc loans. You didn't have to document any of your income. You could just buy houses. And then ultimately what happened was that, 2007, 8, 9 happened. And at this time now, I'm working in construction, facilities management roles, and nobody was building houses. Everything was being foreclosed upon. And anyway, today people were like, well, there's no foreclosures. Well, the only thing that they changed was the fact that the foreclosures that are happening now, they should have been happening 2 or 3 years ago. But with this forbearance where people, they weren't allowed to foreclose on homes, and during COVID, they weren't allowed to kick people out, it's all delayed all this stuff to where now things that should have been foreclosed on, things that should have been, people have been, kicked out for not paying rent, all that should have kicked in. And, you look back and it's like common sense. You're like, wait, people who are required to pay their student loans back? I mean, I had to pay my student loans. I didn't have very many of them because I worked in college, and I made money. So I think the most student loans I ever had was like $3,500 or something. So it's like, why what do you think was going to happen? And then now you look at cars, and we just hit the highest period of people not paying their car payments. You look at the number of people that they're talking about their credit scores dropping 200 points because they haven't paid any student loan payments. So anyways, there's a lot of things that are happening. Got some people coming here. So keep talking a little bit. Hey, how's it going?
Good, man.
Good. You can wave to the camera there.
Hey, everybody! You want to hear some Billy Joel?
There you go. All right. Oh, got some more hikers here. How's it going? So anyways, my point is that, history necessarily doesn't repeat itself, but it certainly rhymes. I say that all the time today. The fact that, if you don't pay your bills, eventually it's going to catch up to you. And with the real estate market, it's been a very, very slow roll. What I see, I work in construction as a project manager, managing products or managing projects. I talk to the framers, I talk to the guys doing the roofing, I talk to guys, in the lumber yards, I talk to the suppliers, drywall, everybody. And one of my clients that I have, he's been doing this for 48 years. And we had a really good conversation on Friday. And he told me, he goes, I'm not going through another 2008, 2009 crisis. He's like, I'm not doing it. He says, I am not keeping my doors open to have jobs for people and me not making any money, or me potentially losing everything that I had. Because I did that in 2008, because I made it through it, and I'm not going to repeat that. And I don't blame him. I told him, I said, you're 68 years old. I certainly wouldn't do that. I certainly couldn't advise you to do that. But there are zero projects, zero on the books right now. Finishing up a few. We have 2 houses with him that we're looking at doing, but I'd say the probability of that happening is not very good. I would say that it looks like there's maybe a 50-50 shot of one of them happening. And typically he will have 7 or 8 jobs going on at a time. To parlay that into other thoughts is that I had one of the real estate agents that I work with. We were talking, and she was telling me that I said, how's your year going so far? And she said, actually, she goes, I'm having a better year this year than I had last year. And I said, well, why do you think? And she told me she was over $1 million ahead of where she was last year at this time. And I said, why do you think that? And she goes, well, she moved brokerages. She moved from one brokerage, a small family brokerage, to a bigger brokerage. And she said, actually moving to the bigger brokerage helped me, because when I was at the mom and pop brokerage, she said a lot of people wouldn't list with me because they didn't like the small mom and pop brokerage. So she's like, market wise, nothing's really changed in the market. She's like, actually, I'm not as busy, but all the people that wanted to list with me would not list with me because of where I was at. So she's like, I think it's more of where I was at. So we were talking about days on market. We were talking about different things. Now, real estate is so local. It's different for everybody. In the market I'm in, we're 45 minutes outside of Washington, D.C. We're in Maryland. There's been a lot of layoffs with the government. It's very government subcontractor heavy area. I will say that a year ago, you would never see a house. In fact, I said something yesterday being Mother's Day. I said, what's crazy is I'm with the family and we're leaving our neighborhood, and there was an open house on Mother's Day. And the crazy thing about it was that they had all the balloons and the signs and everything out. And I said to my wife, I said, you know, a year ago, you would have never seen that. First of all, you would never seen it on Mother's Day. And the second thing is you'd have never seen an open house, because that house would have been sold way before it ever made it to the market. Now you're seeing houses, if it's not what somebody wants, you see the days on market are getting really stretched out. I follow a lot of houses because there's certain areas. Something that I haven't done, well, let me back up. One of the things that I'm a big proponent on is you buy the best neighborhood, you buy the cheapest house in the neighborhood, and you redo it. The house I live in now, it's exactly what I did. I think I paid the second lowest of anybody in the neighborhood in the last 10 years. And then I go in and completely redo it. I've done that multiple times. You go in, it's wash, rinse, repeat. So I think that's just a very good game plan to have going forward. That's what, I do. And I'm just waiting for the time to start fix and flipping with the values coming down. I just don't see the value in being able to do that right now with the capital that you have to put out there. What I am foreclosures, a lot of areas that I've been looking at. There was very few houses on the market. Not only am I seeing more houses on the market, but I'm seeing houses that are having price reductions, or they say new price on them. So again, those are all indicators that there's weakness in the real estate market. I think what's really going to happen moving forward is you're going to see people really get to a place where they cannot afford everything that's happening. And if you look at, a lot of people have not moved, they have not changed where they've been living because they were locked into these 3%, 4% loans. You can't get a 3 or 4% loan anymore. You listen to the Federal Reserve, they do not want to lower rates. Now, they don't really have any control over it because that's the bond market. I did a whole video on how that all works, and I'll revisit that even more. But we're in a sovereign debt crisis in the world. And the U.S., you look at what the administration is basically telling people that haven't paid student loans. There's $1.7 trillion of student loans. And of that, I think it's as high as 50 or 60% of people they're not paying. They're just not paying anything. And for the people that aren't paying student loans, it's taking their credit scores and knocking them down by 200 points. And you're like, well, is that a big deal? Well, think about it. Everything that you go to do, whether it's a credit card, a car loan, even a job, many jobs want to pull your credit score. If you have a 700 or 720 credit score and they lower it because you haven't been making student loan payments by 200 points, now you're a 520? That doesn't look good. So, I guess I'm not trying to be a doomer gloomer here. I'm trying to be a realist. And I believe in signs. Signs are everywhere, pointing to different things. The signs that I see right now in the real estate market is if you've been smart, if you have been diligent, if you have kept your loan to value ratios down, if you have kept a surplus of money to cover, any type of unforeseen expenses, if you've been waiting for an opportunity, there are opportunities coming. And I think they're going to be really, really huge opportunities. You just have to take your time and just pick the right one. Don't take a sidestep. So many people take that sidestep and they don't actually capitalize on the opportunity that's there. So, with opportunity comes when when the opportunity presents itself, is being able to actually take advantage of it. So, be prepared for that. Again, on the real estate side is talking to vendors, talking to subcontractors, talking to real estate agents, being in it, seeing it, watching the market, seeing what's selling, what's not selling, seeing what price action's doing, seeing what's happening. I mean, get me started on global tariffs. What that does. I mean, most people don't realize, but housing in general is nothing but a bunch of commodities that come together into one product and makes a house. If you look at all the different components and I mean, when I build a house, a lot of times there's up to 30 people or 30 different companies that are involved with putting that package together. And those products come from all over the world. We're not sole sourced anymore. So tariffs, anything to do with shortages. I got a friend of mine that follows the lumber market, and lumber is a very low, it's a very big part of any type of construction project, but it's a very low margin project. So for example, if you go deal with a lumber yard and you go build a house, it's not uncommon to see a lumber package for a house, anywhere between $100,000 to, $1 million, depending on the size of the house, what the lumber package is. Lumber package is really your studs to make your walls, your joists, your plywood, your sheathing, your roof sheathing, everything that goes into that. They might make 5 or 6 points on lumber. It's not a lot. It's a very slow. It's a big number, but their profit margins are very small. Lumber's not moving. If you looked at the price per 1,000 board foot right now, I think we were at $560. I know in the lumber industry tells me that U.S. mills, they stopped producing at $550 because they can't make any money doing it. And they're not, all the lumber yards I talk to are just not moving product. I get calls, 2 or 3 calls a day from guys that I work with saying, hey, on this project, do you need this? Do you need that? One of my relationships that I have on the consulting side is a very large commodities company for steel. And we're seeing national builders do the same thing, just not take product because they don't need it. The budgets and different things, houses aren't selling. So anyways, I'm kind of rambling now, but my point is that I believe that when on the real estate market right now, we are on the verge of a collapse. And I believe it's right here. I believe it's right now. I believe that it's starting. There's been a lot of fracturing of the system, and I believe that we have reached our peak and our height. That doesn't mean that properties out there that are what somebody wants, that they won't pay for it. There will always be people that they find something they want, there's a buyer out there for it. What I'm saying is the houses out there that you're looking for a rental income, you're looking for something out there to fix and flip. A lot of these houses that I have seen recently, no one's done anything to them for a long time. I have 3 houses that I'm looking at right now that are short sales that are going into foreclosure. I didn't see that 6 months ago. So I'm pretty excited about it. Again, I don't want to be a doomer about it. But they always say use AI in the construction process. How can I use AI to make money building a house or make a better product or different things? And the guys that I was watching talk about it, they were like, watch this, and there was something called an AI agent, and they get on and they ask the AI agent to bring them water, and within about 35 minutes, not a single human had made a communication. They had given a task to an AI agent to source out 4 bottles of water, and a guy shows up from CVS, and they didn't even know where the water was going to come from, but it come from CVS, from an AI agent that had basically sourced the water, paid for it with the guy's credit card, the whole 9 yards, and all he did was answer the door when it opened. So it's a wild world that we're living in, and I really think that with the history, a lot of my videos that I do, I talk about how history kind of repeats itself, or not necessarily repeats itself, but rhymes. So I think it's really good to look at that and see, how can you benefit? How can you not get hurt? One thing I don't talk about, but I went through 2008 and just about lost everything. It was a really tough time. Ended in divorce. I got my dog. that was one of the great things. But it was a really, really trying time. But I learned so much. I learned not to stick my head out too far, not to overcommit. How to be more, make better decisions. And now I'm become more of a student of life and a student of different cycles, and not necessarily trying to take advantage of it, but even if you're not looking to take advantage, but how not to get hurt, how not to lose what you've worked for your whole life. I think that's just as important as anything else. I just looked at my hair, man. I'm having a crazy hair day. This weekend, for Mother's Day, we've been doing a concrete patio, and my wife and I mixed up almost 4 pallets of concrete. And you're going, why in the world did you do that? And it's because, again, I can. Not everybody's going to take and pour their own concrete patio and mix up 4 pallets of concrete. Actually, total it was 11 pallets. It was 4 pallets between Saturday and Sunday morning. But we got it finished. I should post some pictures of it. Pretty proud of it. My wife, she's awesome. She works as hard as I do. She was on the mixer mixing, and I was on the wheelbarrow and screeting it out and floating it and putting the edging in. So anyways, again, I hope that you get something out of these ramblings, and just stay vigilant, and hey, I'll catch you on that next one.